Teaching is honestly one of the hardest careers you can enter into. There's all sorts of super high expectations. You see people on the news always criticizing, why isn't this teacher doing this? Why are our students doing this? We're expected to not only teach them curriculum, but be there as a listening ear, be there as a counselor, be there as a constant support system for students who may not have that at home. For those reasons, you have to honestly have the right disposition to teach. You have to be able to stay calm under pressure. You have people coming in wanting to observe you and make sure you're meeting those expectations. I am starting my 3rd year of teaching, and before that I was an assistant for 3 years in a self-contained special education environment. 2 of those years I also worked at an intensive behavior unit with the most, I don't want to say difficult, but the most intense students we had in our school district. I did not know what I was getting into, but my daughter is also in special education, and I just had this pull to go help kids. I went in, I don't want to say being a hero, but I wanted to be that constant for some of these kids. One of my biggest traits that I know I have is I look at each student as an individual. They come in, you see they may have clean clothes on, they may have not so clean clothes on, but what you see from that student is only the tip of the iceberg. There's the stuff you don't see. Did they eat last night? Were mom and dad fighting last night? Was there gang activity going on outside? I have to keep that in mind. My biggest thing is, are their basic needs being met? Do they sleep? Do they need a snack? Do they feel safe? A student is not able to learn unless they feel safe. You have to also be aware that each student has different needs. I'm very aware of that. I teach 5 grade levels, and I have to look at those students' individual needs and be able to meet all of that and still teach their grade level curriculum as well. I set high expectations for my students, even though I'm in a modified TEKS classroom. I don't think just because they're in a special education classroom that they still shouldn't have high expectations. We had one student who is a refugee who came in a wheelchair, and now he's running down the hallway, and he wouldn't have done that if we wouldn't have set those very high expectations from day one. No matter the student, if you set those high expectations and stick with them, but also support them, the students will normally rise to the occasion. I'm also always wanting to collaborate with my coworkers, sharing ideas that I've used to help with their more difficult students. My thing that I do need to work on is getting more involved in our community. It's hard for me because I don't have any parents that speak English. Most of it is Spanish, but because we also receive families from Catholic charities, I have 6 languages going on in my room. And unlike some people, I am not fluent in 6 languages. So I still have to find another way to connect with those families and show that I care. When it comes to dress code, when I worked at the intensive behavior campus, we were close to the administration building, so we still had those high standards of dress. You come in business casual, which meant a pair of slacks, a dress shirt, or a dress of a reasonable length if you were a female. I think you could still express your personality through clothing while still looking professional. Eventually, I want to step into more of a consultant and interventionist position, which, being a representative of the school district, I have to step up to that higher standards of dress. I personally am not a fan of wearing jeans at work. I think that doesn't look professional in my opinion. We have to separate ourselves from the students and dress professionally because we are in an authoritative position. In the end, you just have to have that call to teach. You have to do it from an altruistic method where you're there to help them whether you get thanked or not. And some days are going to be incredibly difficult. I know my first year teaching was hard, but I kept going because I wanted to do what was best for those students and watch them succeed.